interesting times. This week's stories. The Philippine Embassy and the Filipino Young Professionals of Washington, D.C. celebrate International Women's Day with a panel discussion. Students walk out of classrooms and march onto the U.S. Capitol for stricter gun laws. Residents react to a recent passing of the Florida gun bill. Famed Polynesian vessel makes a historic first visit to Pearl Harbor. Plus, bakers, confectionery artists, sugarcraft fans gather at the LA Cookie Con and Sweets Show. Hello everyone, I am Eliza Gonzalez Manlikmot, bringing you stories from around the globe, and this is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. In celebration of International Women's Day, 3 Filipina panelists led a discussion at the Philippine Embassy here in Washington, D.C., answering questions about challenges, hard work, and triumph of women in the creative industries. Ace Ramirez with a story.
March 8th is International Women's Day, celebrated to commemorate the movement for women's rights. Here in the United States, March is actually National Women's History Month. Although the campaign to address women's rights should be an everyday occurrence, it's good to dedicate a day to remind of the need for more women participation and involvement in the workforce, in addressing social issues, in the right for basic human rights, and in furthering creative freedom. Understanding the significance of this, the Philippine Embassy here in Washington, D.C. hosts today a panel discussion on women's contributions to the creative industries.
Philippine Ambassador Jose Manuel Romualdez welcomed the crowd with a message emphasizing the role of women in achieving the Philippine government's goal of sustainable, equitable, and inclusive development.
With me is one of today's panelists. She is a graphic designer, entrepreneur, and owner of Josie Designs, Miss Josie Thompson.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
How did you celebrate International Women's Day?
I am here to celebrate International Women's Day. I'm so glad that it's gaining more oomph, that people are doing something to celebrate it. I mean, when they give you something like this, you shouldn't just let it pass by because it'll just disappear. You got to take advantage of it. Well, like I said, for marketing, I had joined the Chamber of Commerce. I became a president of the Chamber of Commerce. Actually, I was the first, Asian, not even just woman, president of that organization. And I became the president of Katipunan. And with all that, you get exposure. People hear about you. I kind of see that as interweaving. And again, also helping out organizations like the Maryland Women's Heritage Center and getting women's stories told. And making displays for them and stuff like that. Again, that kind of weaves in with my work, as well as bringing in what I believe in.
I think development centered around highlighting the voices of anyone who is not traditionally heard is what I care about.
Do you think this would appeal to the male market as well?
I sure hope so. With my game, The Girl Who Sees, it's about a young girl in World War II Philippines who discovers all of the Filipino mythological creatures, and I very much am designing it in mind that both men and women, boys and girls, should be able to enjoy this game. Having family members who appreciated me as a girl and encouraged me to reach for the stars and to take any opportunity that I could, that was really helpful. And certainly learning about the other females and older females in my family and learning about their stories has definitely empowered me to keep moving forward.
The thing that is standing in the way of women, and especially women of color in media, is tradition, and tradition that needs to change in order for there to be more gender and racial equality inside newsrooms.
What is media's role in reducing these factors?
Hiring more women and having more women of color in front of the camera, behind the microphone. Even if you don't see like a woman's face, you can hear their voice. Even if you can't tell if someone is a person of color, if just the sheer fact of looking up somebody, like I have a very American white name, but if you look me up, it's a pleasant surprise that I'm Filipina, right? And so media's responsibility in changing that is putting more women and more people of color into roles where they can touch and reach more people.
So my major takeaway from this event is we need to encourage our younger females and women that are in school to not be afraid to go into male-dominated fields, whether it's in politics, IT, health, and try to get to those levels of CEOs, Chief Information Security Officer, because that's what we want to see in the future, where we have women making the decisions and not just men that are have all the say, but where we can have women have a role in their organizations.
As a male officer in the Philippine Foreign Service, I'm a firm believer in the fact that I think and I truly believe that males are important partners for achieving gender equality and women empowerment. And I hope that to be able to get the chance at some point when I do have certain female staff in my team to be able to help them achieve their potentials and to help them achieve professional advancement. But I think that's one thing that I just wanted to emphasize, that we have to be partners of women in achieving gender equality and women empowerment.
We've been sending out tweets here in the embassy. We had a special lane for women at passport encoding, and then we also have a social media campaign, Serbisyo para kay Juana. This has been done by all the agencies in the Philippines and also by all the embassies and the consulates general. And of course, preparing for this event with the Filipino Young Professionals of Washington, D.C.
Very nice. We were here last year on Women's Day, and I remember the discussion was about women in STEM. We're here again, this time discussing women's contributions to the creative industry. Is lobbying for women's rights and engaging the Filipino community here in the U.S. Capitol in these types of campaigns, is it a constant and conscious effort of the Philippine Embassy?
Oh, definitely. Definitely it's a conscious effort. As mentioned over and over again during this talk, the Philippines has consistently been ranked as the most gender equal country in Asia. But even then, we feel that there's still a lot of work to be done. And we try to do this industry by industry. Because although the battle for women's rights and gender equality, it cuts across many sectors, it's still easier to just bring together specific individuals and groups and to talk about the challenges that are unique to their circumstances. To make it more digestible and also to recruit more allies in this fight.
From the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C., I'm Ace Ramirez, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Ace. EBC thanks the Philippine Embassy here in the U.S. for inviting our team to this event. Students from across the United States say enough is enough as they stage a nationwide walkout against guns. In Washington, D.C., students lobbied at the foot of the U.S. Capitol, chanting, "Do your job, keep us safe." Here's the story. Behind me and in front of the U.S. Capitol building are students, educators, parents, and citizens uniting in today's nationwide walkout in commemoration of the lives lost during the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland, Florida, exactly a month ago today. They are here to voice out their grievances and demand for stricter gun control. Keep us safe! 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 You're here today joining the rest of the nation in unity with this nationwide walkout. Why?
Well, we believe that we as teenagers are uniquely affected by this cause, and we think that it's incumbent upon us to speak up for teenagers worldwide, including our comrades, I guess you could say, in Florida. They don't have a voice, and we need to give it to them. I think the novelty of it will make it have a really strong impact, and I hope that that's what we'll see in the future.
What concrete results are you expecting from this protest today?
Well, we'd like assault weapons ban, the normal gun control regulations to be put in place. We haven't seen much yet, and we think that that's terrible.
I have a message for Congress, and they better heed it. Maybe these kids can't vote, but their moms, their dads, their aunts and uncles, grandparents and all can vote. If they don't outlaw the possession of automatic and semi-automatic weapons by anybody who's not in the armed services of the United States, their career is over. They can kiss their political perks and their career goodbye. It's that simple. This is nationwide. This is worldwide. You know, it's like, hello. These kids got together. The parents, you see a lot of adults here also here and support them. I came down here just to support them and give Congress notice. You know, do it or goodbye.
If you think about the fact that every 15-year-old is going to be able to vote by the time the next presidential election comes, then this is them. This is the kids that are going to do that.
What can you say about kids leading this protest?
I think they're amazing. I really do. Like, I am beyond proud of every child that is standing here today.
A number of politicians walked down the Capitol steps to make an appearance. Bernie Sanders was a crowd favorite as protesters ran to him, eager to listen to what he had to say. Sanders said he is delighted and proud and that what these kids are doing is of national significance, leading the country in the right direction. Some of the lawmakers who hold office here at the Capitol have come out today to address the crowd. But one thing remains to be seen, if the demands of these students will actually be met. Reporting from the U.S. Capitol here in Washington, D.C. for Eagle News, I'm Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot, 1 with 25. Up next, residents react to the recent passing of the Florida gun bill. Famed Polynesian vessel makes a historic first visit to Pearl Harbor. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition will return in a moment. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. About a week ago, Florida passed a gun bill in support of the fight against guns, prompted by the recent school shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Our EBC Florida team asked state residents on how they feel about the gun control bill. Take a look.
In the ongoing battle for gun control laws in the United States, Florida legislature took a huge step forward by passing the Florida gun control bill. This bill raises the minimum age to purchase a gun from 18 to 21 years old, creates a waiting period of 3 days for prospective gun buyers, and bans bump stocks. The bill also allows school officials and sheriffs to arm certain school employees while on campus. The push for better gun control stems from the recent shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, where 17 people were shot and killed in one of the worst school shootings in U.S. history. We took to the streets of Florida to gauge local reactions to this new bill.
If I were on the cusp of the legal age to purchase a gun and they were getting ready to change the age limit, I think I'd be okay with it. Our teachers are underpaid and overworked already. We expect a lot out of them. We expect them to teach our children. We shouldn't also expect them to be their bodyguards. There's not any money to give them the supplies they need or the resources they need. So how are we going to find the money to arm them and properly train them? Raising the age limit for purchasing rifles is a good thing. It's incredible how easy it is to get your hands on an assault-style weapon, and I don't think it should be that simple.
Being that here in the United States the legal age is 18, it should be kept at 18 versus raising it to 21, as that doesn't really make a 3-year age difference is not going to make a difference. Putting stricter laws on, responsible gun owners like myself doesn't stop criminals.
The first clause that you asked me about was increasing the age, and I definitely support that from 18 to 21. The second clause of arming teachers, I don't know enough to have a decision. You need to explain to me what weapon you want teachers to carry, where that will be safeguarded, what kind of safety the weapon will have, who will have access to it, because open weapons should not be left anywhere in a school. And they don't specify in the bill, I will not support it. I understand how to use a weapon, but I choose in my home not to have a weapon. And that is my right as an adult. A bonus is not going to work. I'm sorry. But if you're going to ask me to play two roles, then you need to pay me two salaries.
They're raising the age limit from 18 to 21. It is better. It's better that at least they raised the age limit to 21, but at least we're moving forward. I truly believe that it should be the personnel who are more qualified to handle guns that should be hired to do that kind of job. I believe that teachers should just stick to teaching, and then they focus more on the students and more on education than getting armed themselves.
Gun control is not the answer, because once you start controlling guns, then the law-abiding citizens have to suffer for what the bad people with guns do. I think that the schools are very soft targets. These schools, especially here in Florida, need to be hardened. And the bad people that try to come here in the schools and shoot up the place, they know that. I think teachers need to be armed. Not all teachers need to be armed, but those teachers who are willing, have experience, or have the training. I don't think nobody would complain if some staff member in this last mass shooting had a concealed weapon and were able to defend those children that were shot.
Do I think we're doing the right things by trying to make changes? I do think we're doing the right things by trying to make changes. I think we need to make the schools safer. I don't think it's a problem that we can solve with one piece of legislation or in one day or even 1 year. I think it's going to take time, and that's why I think we just need to keep working at it over and over again. I have grandchildren now. My children are grown. Do I feel necessarily safe sending or having my children send their children to schools, public schools right now? I don't know that any school is safe nowadays. All I can say is that we have a very serious problem, a very serious issue, and it needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be dealt with in smart ways. It needs to be dealt with in quick ways. I mean, we've had the Pulse shooting in Orlando. We've had the Las Vegas shooting. These are deaths that are happening in quantities because the types of weapons that are being used, people have no defense against them.
Governor Rick Scott signed the Florida Gun Control Bill, also known as the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act, into law. Hours later, the National Rifle Association, or the NRA, filed a lawsuit against the state of Florida for violating the constitutional rights of 18 to 21-year-olds. Reporting to you from Orlando, Florida, I'm Melissa Potas, and I'm always one with 25.
Thanks, Melissa. For the very first time, the famed Polynesian canoe, Hokulea, sailed into the waters of Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. ABC correspondents Mio and Alfred Asenes with the story.
About 8 a.m. on Saturday, Hokulea entered the mouth of Pearl Harbor. She was later greeted by 3 U.S. Navy ships, the USS Hopper, USS Chaffee, and the USS Chung Hoon. Sailors saluted from the decks of the 3 ships and blew a ceremonial whistle to honor the canoe's arrival, while Hokulea's crew responded by blowing a poo, or a conch shell. The sail into Pearl Harbor continued with Hokulea paying honors to the battleship USS Missouri and the USS Arizona Memorial by blowing the conch shell and scattering plumera flowers. As Hokulea approached and docked at Rainbow Bay Marina, the crew was welcomed with the traditional Hawaiian protocol, including a hula performance by students from a nearby high school. Welcome remarks were made by Rear Admiral Brian Fort on behalf of the U.S. Navy.
I'm a firm believer that the values that unite us are far greater than any distractions that divide us. And we're truly inspired by the brave but humble navigators and voyagers of Hokulea and the values you cherish and represent.
Polynesian Voyaging Society President Nonoa Thompson was very impressed with the diversity of the crowd that greeted his crew at the marina. He believed that the turnout represents the people of Hawaii living and working together in harmony.
The statements that are here today are very important. What happens next week, what happens next year, what happens a decade from now. I hope this is another day that we take one step at a time towards coming together, working towards renewal together.
During her one-week stay at Pearl Harbor, Hokulea and her crew hosted visits by school children, public dockside tours, and talk story events. This stop is just part of the vessel's ongoing Mahalo Hawaii tour around the islands, which began last August after Hokulea completed her 3-year voyage around the world. For a closer look at the boat, here's Alfred Asenas.
While visitors waited in line to get on the boat, crew members took the time to talk story about Hokulea's brief history, her unique features, and even more information than we need to know.
Everything else has been recreated to make it stronger and lighter, but they kept with that traditional look of what the original one was built. The hoi uli is 21 feet long and it's 200 pounds, and we use that to steer the canoe. You also see 2 side screens. We use that when we're surfing the canoe. We go to the bathroom over the edge, so we'll harness up, and then we'll go out to the catwalk. And that's how we go to the bathroom.
We're standing there. As we approach the vessel, it's impressive how well maintained she's been even after more than 4 decades and numerous ocean journeys, which says a lot about the commitment and dedication of the men and women of the Polynesian Voyaging Society. Other crew members gave visitors a quick lesson on how to operate the giant rudders that are used to steer and steady the 62-foot vessel. Besides the galley, here is another of my personal favorites about Hokulea.
I'm in the captain's quarters, or where I like to think it's the captain's quarters, and this is the accommodations for those who sailed Hokulea. And not much space, but it is roomy, and just basic essentials to get your few hours of rest before you tend to the boat again.
So how many can fit in here?
It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 on this side, maybe 4 or 5 on the other side. If otherwise, then there's an extra storage down below.
Is it comfortable?
It's your basic plastic mattress. It's waterproof, so it doesn't get soaking wet in case you're in the middle of a typhoon.
Hokulea.com provides detailed information about this famous canoe, as well as her sister ships. The website also lists all her voyages and even announcements of upcoming travels. You never know if Hokulea might decide to visit your hometown very soon. Reporting from Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, I'm Alfred Asenas for Eagle News. I'm 1 with 25.
Captain Alfred looks so comfy in those quarters. Thanks, Mio and Alfred. Bakers, confectionery artists, and sugarcraft fans gather at the LA Cookie Con and Sweets Show. Coming right up. This is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmont. Satisfy your sweet tooth at the ultimate dessert destination, the LA Cookie Con and Sweets Show. Eva and Alan Basilaje with a mouth-watering report.
While training, it's common for athletes to follow a strict diet to control their caloric intake.
But today's competition is a little bit different because we'll be competing with our stomachs to see just how many stacks of cookies, cupcakes, and confections we can possibly devour.
Touted as the West Coast's biggest baking, pastry, and sweets convention, this is the LA Cookie Con and Sweets Show in Anaheim, California. From wedding cakes to macaroons and a wide variety of delicious surprises, LA Cookie Con is the ultimate desserts destination.
Cookie Con is just a lot of fun. I mean, you could bring the whole family. There's a kid zone. Ron Ben Israel was here today. He did a whole demo on everything he's done in his career. It's just fun. He's dancing in the aisles. It's the same thing like Comic-Con, but you can eat, and there's so many different types of sweets, and it's not just cookies, it's pastries. We've got someone making cotton candy back there. There's cake pops right over there, and it's just a fun event for everyone.
Best-selling authors, Food Network stars, and YouTube influencers join an impressive list of industry personalities being showcased in LA CookieCon.
Which, in your opinion, in your experience, is tougher, MMA or baking?
Well, they're both really tough. Obviously, mixed martial arts physically is extremely demanding, mentally and emotionally. But I'll tell you what, I get more mad when I'm baking and something doesn't go right because it's like you're working so hard for it. And usually there's like a time crunch, like the cake is due and you got to have it. And like the stress level, it just goes up. But it's so rewarding to so many people when you can deliver a beautiful product that, you know, everybody's going to get to enjoy, not just looking at, but eating it.
How did you discover that being a chef, baking and just creating these wonderful cakes was going to become an important part of your life?
It's very simple. Since I was a young kid, not only I liked eating cakes, I realized when I make a cake or special dessert, like a flan, and I bring it to a party, everybody remembers me and the dessert. Yes. So even though people slave over a hot stove all day making a dinner, when you bring the dessert, you're the star of the show.
Did you ever imagine that your work in the kitchen would lead to opportunities like this one?
I did not. The fact that I could just go from simply baking at home, posting some videos on YouTube, to being at LA CookieCon, a sold-out show like this, demoing on stage, meeting Ron Ben Israel, Duff Goldman, dreams come true.
Guests at the LA CookieCon are able to sample both elegant and simple delights. Now, while no two cookies have the same recipe, the desire to deliver a palate-pleasing experience is a shared goal of every baker, chef, and business owner.
What motivates you to share what you love to do with others?
So for me, it's a lot about the design of the cake pops. I enjoy designing things, custom orders for people, and I enjoy seeing people's reactions when they receive their cake pops, and just knowing that they have something special for the events that they ordered them for.
There's a ton of people here today. How much did you have to prepare to feed them all?
You're right. There are a lot of people here. We were pleasantly surprised as how many people were here. And our staff, we prepared over 1,000 items for the function, and we sold out pretty early. I think my motivation, well, besides the fact that I have an extreme passion for what I do, is to share the artwork, because I consider what we do to be artwork, and the creativity. It's extremely fun.
What's it been like displaying and presenting yourself here?
Oh, well, I love it. As you can see, I get to stand here in this cartoon kitchen, and over to the right of us here, we have a whole station set up where kids can come in and decorate a cookie for free, and they get to really spark their own imagination and creativity and eat something sweet, which is something I love to do.
Like kids at a super-sized candy store, guests at this sweet show were able to explore new ways to satisfy their sugary cravings.
What was your reaction when you heard about this kind of convention?
I was excited. I've been here in the past years, and so I was really looking forward to another year.
Guys, are you an eater or a baker?
Eater. Eater. Baker. Baker.
Eater.
I am kind of both, but I definitely am a baker. I actually went to culinary school, so baking is my life. Bought cookies, bought a bunch of treats, see what cool things that we can, snack on here.
With so many treats, we had to be careful not to lose focus. That is, until one of us decided to wander away. After the rush comes the inevitable crash. So when indulging, just be careful not to overdo it, especially if you're weak for sweets. Reporting from Anaheim, California, on behalf of Alan, who's probably somewhere eating a cookie, I'm Eva from Eagle News, and we are 1 with 25.
I agree with you, Eva. Apply caution if planning to indulge. I'm sure Alan has been warned. That is Eagle News Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. Join us next week for more fun and engaging stories from our correspondents around the globe. Visit our website at Eaglenews.PH. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/EagleNewsPH. Thank you for watching. I am Eliza Gonzalez, Manglek Mott. Always 1 with 25.